Take one, we're recording.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna get it rolling. So, hello everybody. Hello. Keeping Friendship Magic, the elements of Disharmony. My name is Forward Progress. I'm the founder of the Keeping Friendship Magic project. A little background, I have a degree in social sciences and I'm currently continuing my studies in sociology at Penn State University. I started Keeping Friendship Magic with the goal of helping to unite the Brony community. While the fandom does have a lot of amazing attributes, the theme of love and tolerate, the ability to transcend traditional gender norms, the incredible sense of community that we share at events like this, we're by no means perfect. Now, I don't expect perfection from all of us. I mean, that's just, you know, we're never going to get to absolute perfection. But I do have a belief about the Brony fandom, and I kind of hope you guys share it with me. And that belief is that Bronies have the power to change the world. What do you guys think about that? Okay, I know it sounds really cheesy, but I genuinely believe this. There's a lot of ways that we all unite, and that I've seen in this fandom especially. One of which, I don't know, who was at opening ceremonies? Okay. Most of you. Okay, fantastic. For those of you who weren't, this con is being dedicated in the memory of a good friend of mine and ours, Daniel Hopper, who passed away earlier this year. Actually, this was his OC right here at Lockport. And after his passing, we all went and built rarities in honor of his favorite pony. And I made a promise online, if anybody follows the blog, that if I ever did a panel on Keeping Friendship Magic, that Rarity would be coming with me, so here she is today. But it was great to see how we as a group were able to unite in the face of such a tragedy, and when I got to network with the amazing people in this institution, and they told us what they wanted to do in his honor, it was wonderful. So, you know, knowing that this is something that's a capability out there, this is something that we share in our community that we can take out into the world and have the strength to unite us that much better. But like I said, perfect. So, you know, we need to look a little internally. Look at how we can make ourselves a stronger and more united community within ourselves. And that's kind of the whole process, or the whole concept of Keeping Friendship Magic is, how do we make ourselves that much of a stronger unit? And almost serve as kind of an example for the rest of society. I have a philosophy of start small, go big. It's easier to influence change on a smaller scale, say the Brony subculture, than let that trickle out and influence the greater culture around you. It's kind of like how if you're one of those people that were like, oh my god, I'm watching My Little Pony, nobody's going to understand me, and I'm never going to meet anyone else who's a Brony. And then you're here today at this convention, you realize that there are more people. These things do happen. You can influence change around you. You just have to believe. So let's take a look. Let's see here. Like I said about the starting small and going big. I feel like what we have to do is we have to plant a seed, nurture that seed, you know, let it grow until it's a full blossoming tree. Or a flower tree. So the one thing I want to first talk about, we're going to talk about disharmony obviously, but I want to talk a little bit about harmony before we get into disharmony. And in order to really talk about harmony from the perspective of My Little Pony, I think we need to go back to the beginning. Yeah. Alright, now the one thing about this, I can talk about this for hours, and no matter what I say, I can never do as good of a job as what Lauren Faust wrote in the first episode. So we're going to take a look at the defining moment from episode 1. If it works.
Oh.
The night will last forever!
You think you can destroy the elements of harmony just like that? Well, you're wrong, because the spirits of the elements of harmony are right here. What? Applejack, who reassured me when I was in doubt, represents the Fairy, who comes as sorrowful servants with a meaningful gift, represents the spirit of generosity. And Rainbow Dash, who cannot abandon her friends for her own heart's desire, represents the spirit of loyalty. The spirits of these 5 ponies got us through every challenge you threw at us.
You still don't have the 6th element. The spark didn't work.
But it did. A different kind of spark. I felt it the very moment I realized how happy I was to hear you, to see you, how much I cared about you. The spark ignited inside me when I realized that you all are my friends. You see, Nightmare, when those elements are ignited by the spark that resides in the heart of us all, it creates the 6th element, the element of magic.
I still love Twilight getting those eyes. And I have to say, okay, it's 5 years after that premiered, and I still get goosebumps when I watch that scene. I don't know about you guys, but totally. So Harmony. Obviously, this is a big thing to us as a Brony fandom. And it's about how we unite as a community, as friends, as people, as human beings, or ponies in this instance. So one thing that stuck with me a little bit ago, I was at BronyCon a couple of months ago, and I actually got to ask a question at the Joan Lansing panel about if he felt anything's changed since he shot that documentary a few years ago. And what he had said was about the spirit that is in this community and how it's unlike anything he's ever seen, that we have a spirit that drives us that you don't see in every fandom. And I feel like that's something special, and I feel like this is kind of what it is this spirit that we want to have this harmonious relationship amongst all of us. So the first episode kind of breaks this down in a really great way, and the one thing I would say is the easiest way to explain it is with a math problem. I know math is a 4-letter word. I get it. But I think this one is one we can all wrap our brains around. Honesty plus kindness plus laughter plus generosity plus loyalty equals
Friendship!
And as we all know, friendship is
Magic!
And really, what does that do? Creates
Harmony.
Thank you for the audience participation portion of the program. So, we're going to move on from this for a little bit, but I want you to keep this in the back of your mind as we talk about all of the other elements that come into play here. What we're going to talk about now is there is another element that I'm sure, when you read this on the schedule, I'm sure there's one thing you guys wanted me to talk about, and it was probably this guy.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're going to talk about Discord. So let's talk about what makes Discord Discord. And again, I love the way they write the show. I can't do a better job than how Shirley explains it again.
Now this is a really interesting statue. What do you notice about it? It's got eagle claw and a lion paw and a snake tail. This creature is called a Draconicus. He is the head of a pony and a body made up of all sorts of things. What do you suppose that represents? You're confused. Evil. Chaos. It's not chaos, you dodo. Don't call me things I don't know the meaning of. It's good chaos. It's not. You're both wrong. Actually, in a way, you're all right. This statue represents discord, which means a lack of harmony between ponies. In fact, you three have demonstrated discord so well that you're each going to write me an essay explaining it.
Look at how happy Snails is.
John and Joe just like photobombing this entire thing.
This is
So, obviously, we know that Discord tried many things to come in between our favorite comedies. He basically wanted to make them the opposite of who they truly were inside. But what it really was he was trying to create, obviously, chaos, distrust between them, confusion, and boy, we know it worked. And, oh wow. Okay, so apparently that's the place to go when I turn off. Okay, we'll work around this. So, our beloved ponies were obviously on the verge of falling apart forever. We saw this. And it took Twilight reading all of those letters that she had written to Princess Celestia to get her to realize what was really at stake here. This episode has one of my favorite lessons from the entire series, and that is that friendship may not always be easy, but it's definitely worth fighting for. I serve as an admin for a local brony group, and there's weird random things that just come across my desk all the time. My proverbial desk that doesn't really exist because I use my laptop in my bed. But
Too much.
it's too much effort. You know? But I see it, and sometimes I just want to face it and just have those moments. But I repeat that mantra to myself. It's worth fighting for this. It's worth it. Your friends will, quote unquote, pay off, but not in a physical way, more in just having that emotional attachment and that special bond that really cannot be beat by anything else that I've experienced in this world anyway. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I love my friends. So, Discord obviously had abilities that we don't. He had his magic, his chaos magic. We don't have that. But that's not to say that there aren't many examples throughout history of an otherwise united group falling apart due to an outside influence. For those who don't know, that's Yoko Ono and the Beatles. Sorry.
Wah, wah.
I do love the Beatles, by the way. But let's go and apply this to our little community. While we do have meetup groups, we have wonderful conventions like this here that bring us all together. The Brony fandom was born online, and it continues to have a very strong online presence. A lot of people, that's the way they communicate. There's a lot of Bronies that's all they do is they communicate online. They feel like they don't know anybody else around their area, or they aren't, they don't want to come out of the stable, so to speak, and present themselves yet. They're not ready for it. So let's look at this. So somebody comes into a situation to stir up chaos and confusion amongst everybody. What does that sound like? Probably something like that. Let's face it, we've all had to face the internet troll in our day, and one that person who comes in and just wants to stir the pot and get everyone mad and feed off of your negative energy. That sounds a little like what Discord was doing, if you ask me. It's that attempt to create chaos. So, and I love this meme. I had to put this in here that troll like anger, troll want people as miserable as trolls. It's one of those sad things that we see all the time. Now, granted, some people out there are most likely going through their own pain. We all are going through our own pain. Unfortunately, the power of the internet is wonderful for some things, but we can't always have that human connection. So, what's funny is I had already made this panel, and a few hours ago I wanted to see the wonderful panel by this woman right over here. And if you've never been to one of her service seminars, do it. It's wonderful. So the one thing that stuck with me, I started this part about keep calm and don't fall for the bait. You have to take a moment. Now, psychologically speaking, your brain goes instantly to fight or flight when something attacks you, or you feel attacked, which is what happens in these instances. Your brain is reacting like, oh my gosh, somebody just offended who I think is best pony, or somebody just attacked. It could be anything online. Somebody attacked my faith, my beliefs, something I hold personally true to myself. And your gut reaction is to go, hold up, You're wrong, and I'm gonna tell you why. Don't go there, sister. But it's an easy trap for us to fall into. It is actually natural. What happens in your brain is, like I said, it's that fight or flight response. Your brain is designed chemically that it will activate the centers of your brain that process emotion first. And only later do you start to process logic. I'm sure we've all said something that we later regret. I see a lot of nodding heads right now. We all do it, and that's why. Your brain is naturally puts you on the defensive. You have the power to be able to take a step back, and especially in an online setting. Let's face the facts, there's this reality. There's that magical send button. That send button is your best friend because you do not have to click it right away. You have the power to take a moment. If you want to, react with emotion and type out your hurt feelings and don't hit send. Take a step back, reread what you just said and say, would you want somebody saying that to you? There's a way to rephrase it. And honestly, I can't share, and I'm sorry, I totally got it borrowed from you, but it was so beautiful. It's an acronym G-pad called SAFE. It's a way to respond, and you may have to help me out. It is, you want to respond telling somebody the specific act that they did that hurt you, the way it made you feel, the emotion, or the feeling, I'm sorry, and the effect that it has on you. So saying, for example, let's say, who's your favorite pony? Somebody calls on that.
Twilight.
Okay, we're going Twilight. So somebody says, Twilight is so lame, she's such a nerd, and yada yada, she's such an egghead. I just love that term.
Because you're an egghead.
I am. I said it earlier. So, I'm proud to be an egghead. I should really get a shirt that says that. So, but you can respond and go, you know you don't like Twilight, but when you say those things in a forum in that manner, it really hurts me inside because I have a deep connection with the character. And when you say this, it makes me not only have this hurt inside, but I don't want to be around you, I don't want to take part in this. That's a much better way to phrase it than going, you bleepity bleep, son of a bleep. It is, let's face it, sometimes that's our instant reaction, but like I said, we have the power. Now, Facebook obviously has groups. Do yourself a favor, and I recommend this to everybody, know the rules of the group you're getting into. There are different groups on Facebook for different things. Some of them allow certain content that others don't. And that's a good thing to know going in. So if you're somebody who doesn't like, say, 18 plus, rule, what is it, rule 63? 34.
Rule 34.
Rule 34.
Not,
Me, guys.
not safe for work.
Yeah, NSFW will say. If you don't like that, read the rules when you join. Make sure that this group is the right group for you. When you know that, report the violators to the group admins if need be. You can respond in turn, and then, like I said, if it's a repeat violation and they are infringing on the rights of you and other members, it is fully within your power to be able to report them. That's what admins are there for. Trust me, I'm one myself. This is what we're here for, is to create a safe and protective environment for the members and to grow our community.
And I would recommend keeping it private. We saw the trolls. If you post it for everyone, more people will get upset than if you actually bring it up with the people that it is the problem.
Yeah, I would say try to resolve it one-on-one first, if you can. Not always are you going to have that luxury, but you can make the attempt. And of course, always keep friendship magic. You're going to hear me say that again. but true, present the elements of honesty and generosity and loyalty. Is it something you want said to you? Then that's something you want to say to them. It's kind of like the golden rule all over again. So, and if all else fails, there's the hashtag. Free to use it.
Roll credits.
I love it.
I'm using it now. I was going to say, maybe I spelled it wrong. I double checked. Keeping.
That's fine. I'm fine with I did first have keeping, but then I said, what do I want to tell people? I want to tell people to keep friendship magic. It doesn't matter. So, we talked about chaos, we talked about harmony. We're going to get into specifically the term disharmony. And I could think of no better example of a group of girls who caused disharmony in one way or another, or sought disharmony, than these girls. And how did they? Let's hear from them.
This is it, girls. The moment we've been waiting for.
What?
The chance to get our true equestrian magic back.
Oh, right.
Our voices are just strong enough to make them want something so badly, they'll fight to get it.
So we're just gonna do what we always do? Stir up some trouble and then feed off the negative energy? Some plan, Adagio.
It won't be the same as the times before. There is equestrian magic here. Their negative energy will give us the power we need to get this entire world to do our bidding.
But we can get lunch after though, right? It's Taco Tuesday!
Yeah, my school does that. I'm so happy.
So, disharmony. It literally is defined as a lack of agreement that often causes unhappiness or trouble. And that is exactly what the sirens were after. That is exactly what they were going to feed off of, quite literally, in order to gain their power back. They wanted the lack of trust, the lack of cohesion. They took what was supposed to be a collaborative effort and turned it into something that was a competition. I'm not saying that all competitions are bad, but they fed off that. They had man against man, woman against woman, pony against pony, except there are actually people in this world. In an attempt to get in between them. Now, the interesting thing for me is the fact that they really didn't have to do a whole lot to our beloved main six in this film, if you recall. They really just had to have a little push. And I think our friends did the worst, and it took the outsider to get them to realize that.
It might have been your idea to start a band, but it's not just your band, Rainbow Dash.
I'm the one who writes all the songs. I write songs. You just never let us play any of them.
I have the most perfect outfits for us to wear. Again with the costumes. No one cares what we're wearing.
I care, Applejack. So sorry if I enjoy trying to make a creative contribution to the band. Hey, anybody here remember fun? I'll give you a hint. It's the exact opposite of I wish I never had standing you to be in my band. I bet I never agreed to be in it. Me neither.
So like I said, it doesn't take a villain all the time. We can do this to ourselves. Small issues over time become big issues. And again, I'm gonna go back to what we talked about earlier with the responding in kind. You want to take that moment to compose yourself, but you don't want to wait 2 years later and then say, hey, here's what I had a problem with way back when. You need to have that ability to be to stand up for yourself and to look at your friends in the eye and say, this is what I have an issue and here's why. I often say we need more discussions and less arguments. It's okay for you to disagree. You're going to disagree with your friends. That is not a bad thing. I actually kind of like when I disagree with people. You know why? Because it makes the world interesting and it lets me look at other perspectives in the world. When you're talking with somebody and you're having a disagreement, do yourself a favor. Ask yourself this question. Am I trying to find a solution to this issue, or am I trying to prove that I'm right? If you're trying to prove that you're right, even if you are, you could be the rightest right person of rightville and rightness of all right time. Doesn't matter. If your end goal is really to mend that friendship, to find a solution to move forward, that should be your primary goal. being right can just be a fun after effect afterwards if you were right. But let's face it, you know, we all have to get through this crazy thing called life together. We may as well do it together instead of always having to look over our shoulder because we don't trust anybody around us. So, like I said, it really took the outsider to figure it out. And in the end, that's exactly what happened.
You have to stop! This is what they've been after all along. They're feeding off of the magic inside you. How can they be using our magic? It's the magic of friendship.
Roll credits.
Ever since you started this band, you've been letting little things get to you. I never said anything because I didn't feel like it was my place. Not when I was so new to this whole friendship thing. I still have a lot to learn, but I do know that if you don't work out even the smallest problems right at the start, the magic of friendship can be turned into something else.
I couldn't have said it better myself. How great has Sunset Shimmer become, by the way? There's a part of me that really wants her to come back to Equestria, but...
Yes.
Okay, no, I just want it to happen. So, there's one other pony that I want to talk about before we wrap up, and it's a pony who had her own little idea of what was harmony.
Oh.
And it's Starlight Glimmer. So, let's face facts. Like I said, you're going to disagree with your friends. Disagreements do not equal disharmony. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have different special talents. The idea is to nurture one another, to learn from one another, to learn how to cooperate with one another. There is a thing, if you're trying to force something that isn't there, I think most of us find out in our lifetime when it just doesn't work. It just flat out doesn't. And if you're faking something, you're gonna get found out.
Why? Why did you take ours and not give up your own? I had to, you fools! How could I collect your cutie marks without my magic? But the staff has all the magic we need! The staff is a piece of wood I found in the desert. It's my magic that makes all this possible. You'd all still be living your miserable lives thinking you're better than everybody else if it weren't for my magical abilities. I brought you friendship. I brought you equality. I created harmony!
You lied to us!
So what? Everything else I said is true.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that? No, there's a reason why honesty is an element of harmony. If your entire friendship is based on a lie, lies have a way of finding their way out. In the end, it's always best to be honest, to have these conversations, to be upfront. You can't fabricate harmony, flat out. There's really not much more I can say about it. It's just flat out, you just can't fake it. It has to come genuinely. Some people will meld better than others. In the end, even if you are the most opposite ends of the spectrum, one of you is far left and one of you is far right, you can agree to disagree and respect each other as human beings or ponies, however you want to present yourself that day. I won't judge. So, oops, it would help if I hit the right button. So, maintaining harmony. Here, take that moment before you hit the send button on anything you want to communicate out to the world. Yeah, the same goes true in person. Now, granted, it's a lot easier online. I know it's hard to believe, but it really is because you have that power of that send button. In person, sometimes you blurt things out. That's when you apologize and you explain how you truly felt. It happens to the best of us. The best of friends have the most knockdown, drag-out arguments sometimes. And it's okay, as long as you can come back together and understand and have that respect for one another, to listen to each other's opinions and understand what said person was going through at that time. We all have the ability to do this. I know that this community has the ability to do this. I know we can do this. Remember the elements of harmony. I feel like it's a really easy, math problem. Somebody else come up with another word for math and we'll use that. But
Arithmetic.
Arithmetic is just math.
That's what you wanted.
So,
What you wanted other words for math.
Boring.
I knew I liked you. But really, most of all, it's promote the magic of friendship. I really feel that as the Brony community, we talk a lot about love and tolerate, and I believe in that so much. I'll tell you a little bit about myself here and why this means so much to me. Is I joined the fandom like in between seasons 3 and 4. I was a little late to the game, and I had that moment where I went, "Oh my God, I'm the only Brony I know. I don't know anyone. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what to feel." I didn't even feel comfortable calling myself a Brony. I didn't feel comfortable with the label because I had heard so much negative about this or that and the other thing. And you know what actually got me to be proud of myself was the John Delancey documentary. I got to see that, and if you haven't, it's on Netflix. Look it up. There's actually 2 now. There's also the Brony Tale 1. I met the director from that. Great film as well. Watching that made me realize that there is a community of people out there, and there's people I can connect with, and there's people who think like I think, and who want to make a change in the world, and who want to make this better, and who want to unite to get through this crazy thing we call life in a positive way. Life can be good if you let it be, and you promote that magic of friendship with the people around you. I'm starting to sound so sappy. I hear it in myself, and I don't care.
We love you!
Because I believe. I love you all.
Yay!
But I really do. And so I went to my first Brony convention a year ago, and I've never been happier than that weekend, except for maybe this weekend, because I'm pretty darn happy right now. But when I left that weekend, I went, I found my people. I must find more of them. And I went home, I started Google searching, and I found the local Brony group, and the rest is history, and now I'm here presenting today. So, the magic of friendship is real, it exists, it's within all of you. You have the power to do it. So, with that being said, keep friendship magic, please. If anyone has any questions about anything, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, if you're interested, I do have business cards for keeping friendship magic if you want to stay in touch. Which, does somebody have my bag? Oh, I have it. Hi! Sorry, I've been like freaking out about this for the last 24 hours.